Hey guys, welcome back to MuscleMentor.net. I'm Brad Hall and this is Justin Harris. And we wanted to talk a little. We had a question earlier about what's the best, super supplement to kind of blow up after or post contest. And after we got done talking about that, we wanted to talk about kind of exactly what we have people do in that couple weeks or month after a show to get things rolling again.
And this is, I know people, we kind of always talk in generalities, and there's a reason for that, because that's all you need. And I know people want exact prescription, give me the exact amounts. Well, the amounts are different for everybody. And I'll say that this isn't a prescription. We're not medical doctors. Brad almost was, but he
is a failure.
Got gonorrhea. No, Brad actually, this for your quality content here. Well, there's other reasons. Brad owns a gym and stuff, but he was accepted in medical school and decided not to go because he's
stupid.
The love of his life, lived in a different country, lived in a different state. So. But anyways, we'll give an exact thing. So and if you guys like this video, this is the type of stuff you'll find in the anabolic course. I know it's a higher cost, but it's a one-time cost, and we give from cycle 1 to Olympia stage what the guys are actually doing, why they're doing it, doses amount, what you can expect from the different doses amount, what your peers will be doing at your state shows, what your peers will be doing at national qualifiers, what your peers will be doing at national shows. And so you can see where you stand, where you stack up, and you'll know, and you'll get a bigger view of what we're doing right here. And so post-contest, what do? Okay, you step off stage, go eat anything you want. Say a Saturday show. Sunday, what do? Eat whatever you want all day. The next 5 days after that are going to be high carb days with a cheat meal. And your high carb day is going to be different, but if you're working with me, it'll be a very precise food list and a very precise amount of carbs, protein, and fat, but those will be high carb days, 5 days with a cheat meal at the last meal of the day, because if you cheat any other meal, the whole rest of the day is going to turn into a cheat meal, and don't pretend like you're not going to do that after a contest, because you will. So save the cheat meal for the last meal of the day. For the first 5 days after the show, all your fat burners are kept in at the normal dose, the same dose you're taking, so we don't get that huge water bloat. Over the next 5 days, you're going to cut your doses in half. So the next 5 days, you're going to do 50% of your fat burner doses. The next 5 days, you're going to cut those doses in half. So effectively, you're at about 25% those last days. And then 15 days after the contest, all fat burners are gone. So we taper down through that while you go through that bloat phase. Your supplements are super basic. It's going to be ideally test and primobolan, if not either test and EQ or test and DECA. And depending on the guy and size, you want to probably if this is your blast, we're talking like a 4-week, blast, we're hitting it hard. After this, we're cruising and taking it, because you've probably been on cycle for 12 to 16 weeks for the contest too. So this takes us up to 20 weeks. So we need a good recovery period after this. But 4 weeks blast, we're going to shoot for somewhere between 2 to 3 grams of total gear. So that's something like 1.2 grams of test, 800 milligrams of EQ, or even better would be like a gram of test and a gram of primobolan. And then that's what you're doing. And you go the Saturday after the show and Sunday, pig out. The week after that are all high days. You get right back to training with a cheat meal. We keep light cardio in, just either faster or post-workout, like 20 minutes of steady state. After those 5 days, then we're on a very strict off-season diet. And I know it's hard, and it really isn't hard. It's hard when it's your first show because you're not used to it. But, the pros don't go and get fat and gain 70 pounds after a contest because they got another contest coming up. So the more shows you do, you'll get better at it. But if you don't have 2 days of picking out and 5 days of cheat with a cheat meal, if you're not ready to get back into the plan after that, then it's probably not the sport for you. And,
yeah. Really, really similar. After the show, go pig out, go have fun, have something to eat. The next day you're going to wake up and look awesome. Think you should have done that. Think that's how you should load for the rest of your life.
Even though, you're veiny, you have no quad separation and your abs are washed out, but you got veins everywhere. So of course that's the look that would have
And you're
won.
in your hotel room lighting. Yeah. Anyway, so we do that. Do that Saturday night. I'll let you do whatever you want on Sunday, and then coming back into that week, the next week, like Justin said, I like to cut out stimulants over about a 3-week period. And just like you said, after that, we keep them in that first week, then cut it in half. Next week, cut it in half. And I think that by the time it should be about 21 days, and those should be out. That first week back, cardio is at an absolute minimum. I have people go back to the foods list that we were using, for the prep. But you can have as much as you want. Just basically make up your meals from those foods. At the end of the day, massive cheat meal, whatever you want for that entire first week. Like Justin said with the anabolics, I'm right there with them. Usually what I have people do is take the whatever the total dosage was for all the things they were using for the contest prep, and we go about 75% of that with a combination.
Butt in real quick, because I gave a dose recommendation, and I hate doing that because I know some guys that did 500 milligrams of test as his peak in the off season is going to fit. Your post contest blast should never be the highest dose of the year. It should be, like Brad said, probably no higher than 75% of your peak dose of stuff. And so I gave that kind of range. I'm going from the perspective of a guy who's like doing a
turning pro.
Yeah. And so what we would do with him after. So titrate your doses accordingly, but
yeah, so about 75% of what your highest total or whatever you were doing for the prep. And again, like we said, testosterone and some type of anabolic, whether that's EQ or DECA or Primo, whatever you have. And then again, we're gonna run that for the 4 weeks. Start that as basically the next day, and then once we start that the off season protocol, which really because we don't want to gain too much fat. We almost after that first week we kind of go back to the I'd say the 3 week out contest diet that you're probably on and kind of reverse our way back out of it. We reverse pretty quickly though, because with those androgens back in and you're training, and this is why we have weekly check-ins or more. Because at that point you're gonna start growing again big time, and so your calories are gonna be able to come up while you're still staying lean. That's the best part about it. That's why we don't just go from the contest, then you stop, and then you just do whatever, get fat and smaller somehow, and now you're in a worse spot. This is setting you up so you can take a break, and during that break work your ass off on low doses to try and keep some muscle, and then go into your off season.
I never believed in the. Obviously, you've been on a lot of harsh stuff, and you need to get healthy. But I've never, from a long-term bodybuilding perspective, believed in the long-term competition, meaning how well you're going to do in the sport. Believed in coming off right after a show. That's within 4 weeks. You should be. Most people are as heavy or even heavier than they were when they started their contest prep. A lot of it is just still super compensation, super saturation of glycogen stores,
but still lean.
And that's the point you want to take your break and recover from. You don't, because if you take a break after the show and get all that drop in hormones, you're gonna be skinny fat rather than huge and lean.
Yep.
What was I going to say? There was another thing I kind of wanted to add. I thought would be good to add. And we keep saying test, and this is something that I don't. It's like things go through cycles. I've been following this forever. I got my first weight set in the '80s, but I've been, so I see especially with gear. Well, with training and diet and everything, the way things go in cycles and stuff, human physiology doesn't change. We haven't changed in the last 20 years. We haven't changed in the last 2,000 years. But like the new low test type stuff is coming around, and I don't understand that at all. People doing low test cycles, doing low test just so they can do super high doses of tren, which blows my mind because guys are like, oh yeah, if you lower your test, the side effects of tren aren't so severe. Well, if all the bad stuff's coming from this product, why are you adjusting everything you do so you can take even so you can take more and try to minimize? It's like, no, when I take that, I feel like shit. Maybe if I drop all this other stuff, I'll feel slightly less shitty on this.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather just take a good dose of test, that makes you feel good, you get progress and all that, and then drop in like, something like, well, I hate to say it, but halotestin or something like that, just right before your workout, like not enough where you're taking it every day, making you feel like shit. But drops. Why have something? Like what? Oh, shit, yeah. Oh. Yeah, so you're smashing your head against the weight before you lift it. But if you're looking for that aggression or that stuff that people worship trend for, but why have to feel that way all day at home with your wife and your kids and your dog?
Even worse, if you need that aggression. I hate to I don't want to discourage anyone because I love the sport. I love lifting weights changed my life. I was a different person before I lifted weights. Pretty much all the good things that came from my life, all my really enjoyable moments in life, being able to play college football, even if it was small school. But that was as a kid who was a late bloomer and small and not very confident growing up. All my best friends through my life were met through the gym. All my great experiences. The reason I met my wife is because I went to a college to play football that I never would have went to otherwise. Winning bodybuilding contests, getting to own these businesses, getting to do this stuff, getting to meet all my idols. So I encourage everyone to do it. But again, if your goal is to turn pro, you need to constantly look at where you're at on the spectrum of things, because if you need those things, especially after a contest, if the first 4 weeks after a contest, if you need something to increase aggressiveness at the gym, that's a big sign. God, and I keep wanting to say, another thing with test. There's a funny story. I want to say this is 2004 Junior Nationals. I had 7 guys competing in it, and I competed also and did terribly. That was my first real hardcore view of, okay, there's got to be Coach Justin and competitor Justin, and because you can't prep when you got 7 guys at a national show, you can't prep yourself properly. But anyways. One of them was cousins with a famous pro bodybuilder. I don't want to say a name because I don't want to, put this out there for anybody. But he's a very famous pro bodybuilder, Hall of Famer, who has made a comeback at an older age. And this is, because growth used to be really hard to find then. It was really expensive. And so this guy's cousin, who was one of my clients, he showed me the text messages back and forth with Kevin because he'd been saving money for growth hormone. He wanted to know what Kevin's view of growth hormone was. And Kevin said, I said the name.
Yes, you did.
We maybe we'll edit this out.
Okay.
He said, "Well, okay, how much you save for growth hormone?" He says, "How much?" He says, "Okay, well, just when you're ready to hit when you're ready to really hit it hard, keep saving that money, and then when you're ready, take all that money, and then go and buy test." And that was. Which I thought was funny, and that's that guy. He hasn't quite turned pro, but I think he's been second maybe once or twice, and he's a well-known name in the sport now. The cousin, and he's a very large guy.
Nice.